Chapter 14 and 15. Beatrice receives an anonymous call warning her that he knows where Chris is hiding, but he is not after him. Consequently, she should tell him to move place. Although she does not know the voice or the caller, she blindly gives her trust to the anonymous caller by asking Chris to move. She's restless the following day, wanted to find out about the move from Chris from her hideout. Chris had insisted that she must not call him and she should behave as calm as possible. She leaves office, goes shopping, and locks her car keys in the vehicle. Taxi drivers are planning a strike about Ikem's death to protest the brutality of the government on its citizen. That very night, Chris's hideout is raided without finding him. She calls the owner of the hideout, who confirms that they had visitors, but everything is okay and Chris is safe. She goes back to her apartment when she meets Elewa drinking Ovaltine with dry bread. She gets furious and makes omelette and gives Elewa proper breakfast. Agatha does not want to serve a common woman like Elewa, and she wonders why Beatrice should allow her to sleep in the guest room. Beatrice is surprised at her hypocrisy, especially the fact that she is a strong, born-again Christian. She admires the simplicity and wonders what Elewa possesses that had drawn Ikem so strongly to love her that much. Agatha cries because Beatrice had shouted at her and the latter apologizes. She receives 2 calls from anonymous callers congratulating her on moving Chris to a different place and on time, and to warn her that the city is no longer safe for him to be present there. Consequently, they are advising her to move him out of Basa. So she must move Chris out of Basa as fast as possible. From that moment on, Beatrice is very cautious, especially as the National Gazette carries a story that Chris had left the country in a foreign airliner disguised as a pastor. This is state propaganda, and later on in the evening, it is announced that Chris is wanted for security reasons and in connection with the recent failed coup plot. The police statement calls on anyone who spots him to report to the nearest police station. There is also a threat on anyone concealing information or failing to do so will be considered as a coup plotter, and the penalty is death. This information is not surprising to Beatrice, as she had expected that, but she finds the accusation ridiculous. Beatrice receives a phone call again from a concerned person, and Agatha assures her that nothing will happen to Chris. The focus on the tension and the uncertainty surrounding Chris's predicament is the focus in this chapter. The anonymous caller also shows concern, highlighting suspense, bringing out suspense in the novel. Beatrice's concern for her man leaves her restless. Note should also be taken of the influence that Ikem has on the common man. The taxi drivers are planning to protest for his death. Beatrice's generosity is seen through the care and concern that she shows to Elewa and her pregnancy. Beatrice has to make sure that Chris is moved from one safe hideout to another. The vindictive nature of His Excellency and oppression of the military regime is very glaring. Chris is accused of being a coup plotter simply because of his closeness to Ikem Osodi. The statement that implies Chris's testimony of the realization of Beatrice's previous fear. For the first time, the idea of Chris leaving Basa because the place has become dangerous becomes imminent. Chapter 15. Chris had moved from one safe hideout to another through the help of friends who harbor him in their spare boy quarters. Following the threat on the police statement for capital punishment for anyone aiding Chris or hiding him, he believes that he is putting the lives of these people in danger. In addition, one of them may panic and sell him out to the government. First of all, he meets Emmanuel, president of the student union, under the protection of Bremo. Emmanuel comes to seek him for protection because he is wanted by the police, but he is not given a VIP importance because they had always had problems with the student union leaders. They fraternize and plan to leave Basa disguised. On their way out of the city, they will meet many checkpoints. The meeting before the departure, Beatrice visits Chris at Bremo's home. Bremo had sacrificed his room, where Chris can have a safe and a comfortable bed to sleep on. When she and Elewa go to visit him, she decides to spend the night with her man for the last time before he leaves Basa. And in the course of the night, the urge to feel her man becomes very strong, and both of them share intimacy in the presence of Bremo's children who are sleeping on the ground and whose presence is separated by a cloth separating the room. The room is very hot and full of mosquitoes. On their way out of the city, they meet a lot of army checkpoints, and upon approaching the 3 Cowrie Bridge, the traffic is intense, and Bremo tries to make a false move. Chris and the other guy go down, and when interrogated, he almost gives himself out. His companion comes to his help, claiming that he is engaged in spare parts. They cross the Cowrie Bridge, and the companion tells him to be relaxed and behave like a ghetto man. The heat is too hot to keep Chris in Basa, and it takes the advice of Beatrice to leave Basa despite the odds. He succeeds to get to where he will take a bus that will take him to Abazon. The solidarity that he receives from Bremo and the others is worth noting, and we see that this highlights love.